Dr. Shri Prakash ji as the chief guest for the event, and I would like to request you, sir, to please come on the podium and address us.
धन्यवाद नीलाभ। Thank you, Sampadanand ji. Thank you, Rishihood University, having me here in this international conference on advancing integral humanism in 21st century. Thank you, Sobhit Mathurji, Vice Chancellor, Rishihood University, gracing the occasion in valedictory session. In audience, Professor Abha Singh, Professor Santes, MS Chaitra ji, Srikant ji, Kshetriya Sanyojak Prajna Pravah, and dear friends. This place is important for me because it's associated with Maharishi Sri Aurobindo. This date, 14th April, is also very important to me because one is associated with Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. And this third Mahamanav, Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya ji, is very, very dear to me because all these three figures have been associated with my life from my college days. Sobhit ji, when I started my journey with Delhi University in 1982, I was admitted to a nearby college. That college is known as Sri Aurobindo College, and I did my graduation from that institution. When I started my journey as a teacher in Delhi University, as faculty member in Delhi University, I started with Sri Aurobindo College. And by default, in 2002, a project was given to write a book on Dr. Ambedkar's thought on minorities. The book is titled Dr. Ambedkar on Minority Questions. Another journey begins with, and later on, I worked as a chair professor with IIPA for a year or so. That contributed a lot in my career. And that was my beginning with Dr. Ambedkar and his thought process, his writings, his contribution to the world of knowledge and academia. And third, Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. When we were students, it was really scary for the academia. No one used to refer about Bharatiya Janasangh and Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. In academia, they were untouchables that way. Professors, syllabi, all were very much indifferent to it. Fortunately, I started my research journey with Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya when I did my MPhil on him. And when I was choosing this topic, my supervisor, Professor Sankadha, a known political scientist in welfare theory field, cautioned me, "You're working with me is a problem. You're working on Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya, another problem. And the whole academic bastion is full of the people, those who don't believe even in India or in Bharat. You may face problems in future in your academic career. और मैंने उन्हें बड़े सम्मान से कहा, सर अब तो आपका हाथ पकड़ लिया है, देखा जाएगा. But for me, this journey with Sri Arvind, with Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya and Baba Saheb Ambedkar have been a wonderful journey, and I have been relishing like anything. One thing came to my mind in form of question. What to say about integral humanism or Ekatma Manav Darshana? Very rightly, M.S. Chatraji was raising some questions and coming with some answers of it. If you try to place Ekatma Manavad in totality with policy, or start evaluating with the policy structures, you will fail miserably. But when you look at the outcome of the philosophy, its impact on our thought process, its impact on society, then you realize how this Ekatma Manav Darshan is contributing for the welfare of humanity all over the world. It's a state of mind. It's not a philosophy of a political party where Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya belonged to. That was Bharatiya Jana Sangha, in new incarnation Bharatiya Janata Party. It's a philosophy of Bharat. This is a philosophy of our treasures. This is a philosophy of thousands of years, which was articulated by Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya in a thought process, looking at the challenges posed by capitalism and socialism, or the communism at that point of time. That is the key to me when I discuss Ekatma Manav Darshan with any kind of audience or the groups. If I have to say something very catchy towards it, then I'll say it's like a paras patthar. From where it moves, makes the atmosphere and the padarth in form of gold. When I'm saying this, I'm not saying with any bias towards it, any prejudice with any of the ideologies. When I'm saying this, I know how useful it is for humanity at large. For example, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Shantu Niramaya. Do you find anything objectionable in it? When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, do we find anything objectionable into it? When we say Aham Brahmasmi, do we find anything objectionable to it? When I say our journey as a self is a journey of converting into we, ko aham is effort to be in ko vayam. Is there anything objectionable? Problem begins with the theorizations of lives of the people and their culture and their civilizational values. In India, in Bharat, we were not having that kind of challenges before us. If you read Kautilya, in its 15th chapter, M.S. Chatraji was referring about the Priyojana. There are 32 elements described as a tool of research by Kautilya. And the kind of research, kind of tool he suggests that provides neutrality to any of the findings. Susruta Chikitsa, he refers about 36 elements. And we cannot forget. My friend from Australia was referring about darsana. That one is very much established. Darshan is different and sadhana is different. We have been taking inspiration from the darshan. At the point of sadhana, darshan is not at all anywhere. It's basically the inspiration from the darshan which leads to the sadhana. Anyway, that is not the question. My submission with integral humanism is, as a philosophy, it's more holistic, full of virtues, and welfare lies with it. As a student of political science, when I started working on it, by that time only I found the name of Jacques Martin, a French scholar who also wrote in 1931 about integral humanism. But his integral humanism is different to Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya's integral humanism. When he was writing, at that point of time, Europe was facing a challenge in form of Nazism and fascism. The French Revolution's own story was not as successful as claimed. Liberty, equality, all credit have been given by modern academia to French Revolution. But Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar said that I have taken all these words from equality, liberty, fraternity from the writings of Buddha. Look at the transformation. Look at the change. The whole academia is giving credit for these theories, thoughts, values to French Revolution, and thousands of years ago to that French Revolution, we had Mahatma Buddha from his writings, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, these values to the society. Anyway, I was just referring about Jacques Martin. Jacques Martin comes with an answer to the prevailing problems of French society and European society through Christianity and precisely Catholic beliefs. For him, even other beliefs in Christianity is not human, and that cannot provide the solution to the problems faced by the society. For him, it's only the Catholic Christianity which can provide solutions to various problems. Max Weber, again very much quoted in social sciences and political science primarily, when he tries to locate the problem and answer, he answers again with Christianity, but there is a difference between Jacques Martin and Max Weber. Is he talks about Catholic and he comes with Protestant Christianity. And when Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya is describing his own thought process, which he has taken from our legacy, our culture, our values, our civilizational history, there he is talking about the whole humanity without identifying any faith to it, without labeling a front to it, without labeling any precondition to it. For him, this relationship of West means individual, Samast means society, and its relation with the Param Srishti is in form of continuum process. And that gives an edge to Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya while articulating Ekatma Manav Darshana. When I became a little bit aware about these philosophies in my later career after my post-graduation, Sobhitji, I started thinking on it. M.N. Roy, so philosophy of radical humanism is much more appreciated, finding space and value in our academia, is part of our syllabi whenever we had Indian political thought. Hardly few years, and that was given by him in 30s when he himself wrote about the transition. In India, he was a failed politician, couldn't garner anything. He all the way came from Soviet Russia and contested election in 1930 and lost miserably in Congress. The mainstream was not ready to accept him. But he became philosopher and his thought process known to us as a radical humanism. How a humanism can be radical, aggressive, how it can be feminized. When humanism lies with peace and prosperity. And that is Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. Unfortunately, our academic world was not ready to accept, but slowly and gradually, after so many years of governance, you will be surprised to know, friends, communism was never in governance. No doubt some of the parties belonging to that particular thought process have been in governance in some parts of the country. Previously in Tripura, nowadays Kerala and in Bengal, their history now. In West Bengal, their history now. But they are in academics. They tried their level best that not to touch these philosophies. If once it is started, the society will know about it, students will know about it, and a new generation of academia will establish themselves and they'll counter all the arguments. Concept of Nyaya is another example. In argumentative Indians, a Nobel laureate writes a comparison between justice and Nyaya. And suddenly he tilts towards the justice. Because justice apparently appears through the institutions, but Nyaya has the social roots. And Amartya Sen did a great disfavor to our own philosophy. When I went with that text, that came to my mind, perhaps that was knowingly. Perhaps that was the compulsion of the area where he was, or the campus where he was. The basic challenge posed to us is universality of some of the thoughts in form of equality, liberty, fraternity, which I have already referred with Dr. Ambedkar, that comes to us from the writings and teachings of Gautam Buddha. This integral humanism of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya is a part of the galaxy of illustrious organic intellectuals of Bharat, who have not only theorized on the basics issues of life of the people, but also sought to provide solutions to them, practicing with they preached. Another, in social science, these three words are highly popular: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Those who are less aware, they'll credit it for Karl Marx. Those who are a bit aware, they'll go to Hegel. But this thought process was very much Indian. When in Ashtadhyay, we find Asti Nasti Distam, what it means: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. And our explorations, our experience with all 60 schools of thoughts of Darshana have been different to each other, but complementary to each other. Charvaka, another name, comes to our mind. If you look at all that Vimarsha, then you will find that this integral humanism as a philosophy is one of the most treacherous contribution of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya to not only to India, to whole humanity. Because it's a mindset of the person who pushes him or her to play a role towards the society. When I was in IIP as Ambedkar chair, I was heading a program called APPA program, that is MPhil program for bureaucrats. In my class, I had 44 bureaucrats of JS level for 9 months as an MPhil student. In one of my classes on social justice, I inquired with them, how many of you are known to Indian Constitution? Answer was very much obvious. Everyone said, yes, I know about Indian Constitution. When you last did with it, the answer was when we were preparing for civil services. After that, we have not read it. Then I inquired about Dr. Ambedkar. Only 2 people raised their hand that we read Dr. Ambedkar. The bureaucracy, who is one of the pillar of policy making and execution, is not known to the philosophy, not known to the miseries, not known to the problems. What kind of policy they will make? What kind of execution? Compassion will be there or not? That one is a great question. Same philosophy, same concern applies to Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. If you are known to the philosophy, if you are known to the darshana, what purpose it has, how it works towards the society, how it garners the society, how it saves the society, how it is in interest of the society, welfare of the society, how humanity will be catered, then the policy makers and execution will work on those lines. For example, when we were suffering in COVID-19, whole world was suffering. But look at the behavior of some of the developed nations, what they were doing. They were storing the medicine for their own people. all medical facilities they were trying to sell for their own citizens. They knew about what kind of problem the world is facing. At that point of time, India came with leadership. Our medicine, our kits, our food grains were made available to whole humanity. And if my data is not wrong, more than 72 countries were served without any cost. Russia and Ukraine both are fighting with each other. The world started facing huge crisis of wheat and grains. Who came as a savior? It's India. It's Bharat. Who is heading? It's Prime Minister Modi. From where he has been getting all his inspiration? From Ekatma Mano Darshana. For him, the whole humanity is one. His one earth is not for the say only. His Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not for say only, per se only. He is practicing with all his belongingness to the humanity. That's why my submission have been, if philosophy is working as a director, philosophy is a motivating point, then our actions always starts working in favor of. Professor Singh, Abha Singh ji was mentioning about the Chiti. When we read Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya, to my mind, the difficult task in whole darsana is to negotiate the concept of Chiti. A celebration is a very difficult one. And there are various ways to define Chiti, to elaborate Chiti. And if we collaborate this with Virat, then Chiti, understanding of the Chiti, becomes a bit easier for us. For example, this organic self runs through as a prana. And that prana can be described as a Virat. If that prana is out of it, this will be useless. Only a body, the mortal one. But when Chiti comes to it, that provides purpose of life. That provides a way of life. That provides direction to the prana. That provides motto to the life. And that provides the flame to that prana. That one is a Chiti. And that Chiti always remains same, whether it's a position of pain or the pleasure. If happiness, friction of seconds, it will feel yes. Rest of the things, within a second, it becomes, in the particle of seconds, it becomes normal. But that realization is again visible and possible into us when we start working towards the betterment of the society, welfare of the society, or doing every bit of our action for the welfare of the people or the humanity. It's the welfare of the humanity. And if we मेरा समय कितना बता दीजिएगा भाई। ओके। When I was coming for this program, I tried to find out some of the important papers, and out of that bundle, I just saw a piece. That one is the last lecture of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. What he delivered in Bareilly on 4th February 1968. And this one is written in Hindi, so I'll prefer reading it and elaborating in Hindi if you permit. Is it permissible? Thank you. And the question which Chatraji was raising, individual and society, beautifully Pandit Deendayal ji is giving to the society in form of address. Just think over it. He is the president of Bharatiya Jana Sangha. In his last lecture, you won't find any word which can be described as a political. It's a purely darshanik in nature. And if you go into it, you will find purpose of life. And when I am reading with you, व्यक्तिगत रूप से मेरा सम्मान बढ़ जाए तो हम ऊंचे हो जाते हैं, परंतु जरा गहराई के साथ सोचें तो यह बात पता लगेगी कि हम जिस समाज में पैदा हुए हैं, जिस राष्ट्र के हम अंग हैं, उससे अलग होकर यह व्यक्तिगत आकांक्षा पूरी नहीं हो सकती। अगर कुछ हुआ भी तो वह अधूरा रहेगा। सर्वांगीण प्रगति अकेले नहीं की जा सकती, कारण व्यक्तिगत जीवन नाम की कोई चीज वास्तव में होती ही नहीं। Who have been advocating more than 400 years about the individualism? It's a liberalism, it's a capitalism, it's Western thought. For them, the individual was the center of everything. No doubt, pain and pleasure goes with individual. But with the success of that individual, we need an environment and surroundings which contributes to the success, which contributes and motivates to the individual and success. माथुर साहब को क्या वीसी बने अगर कोई बधाई देने वाला नहीं होता तो, आपके साथ कोई काम करने वाला नहीं होता तो, आपके लिए संस्था नहीं होती तो, मैं डायरेक्टर बना मेरे लिए काम नहीं होता तो, मेरे लिए विद्यार्थी नहीं होते तो, इट्स ऑल फॉर सोसाइटी। जब हम ये थॉट प्रोसेस अपने जीवन में ले आएंगे, इट्स नॉट मी, इट्स सोसाइटी व्हिच मैटर्स, इट्स नॉट माई बाउंड्री, इट्स बाउंड्री ऑफ माई नेशन व्हिच मैटर्स, इट्स नॉट माई ग्रोथ, इट्स ग्रोथ ऑफ माई नेशन व्हिच मैटर्स। इसीलिए जब मैं भारत विकसित राष्ट्र के रूप में 2047 तक आए ऐसी कल्पना माननीय प्रधानमंत्री की सुनता हूं तो मैं कहता हूं ये राजनेता नहीं बोल रहा है, ये राजनीति नहीं बोल रही है, ये दृष्टा बोल रहा है जो हम सबको स्वप्न दिखा रहा है। He is giving a dream to our eyes and thought process. Gentlemen, you start working on it. We became independent because our leaders wanted to be free at that point of time. They were fighting for us. They were fighting for future generations. तो वो भाव पंडित दीनदयाल अपने इस उद्बोधन के माध्यम से फिर एक बड़ी खूबसूरत बात कहते हैं। मेरा नाम ही लीजिए, दीनदयाल के साथ मैं जुड़ा हुआ है, आई एम एसोसिएटेड विद दीनदयाल एंड आई एम वेरी मच अलाइन विद इट। मेरा इससे जुड़ाव हो गया है। मैं नींद में भी सो रहा हूं, कोई मुझे दीनदयाल करके बुलाता है तो मैं उठ जाता हूं। परंतु पूछा जाए फ्रॉम वेयर दिस नेम केम टू मी, द बॉय व्हिच वाज born, that was born without any name. It's the parents who gave this name to him. It's the family and his relations gave that name to him. आज भी आप देखें, परिवार में किसी का कोई नाम रख दिया जाता है, लेकिन चाचा ताऊ फूफा मामा नाना किसी और नाम से बच्चे को बुलाने लगते हैं। एक मामा है जो कहता है बच्चे को मुन्ना या मुन्नी, और जब वो बोलता है, वो आवाज देता है, तो वो अपना पूरा नाम भूल करके दौड़ पड़ती है। तो दीनदयाल जी कहते हैं, ये जो नाम मेरे परिवार ने दिया, मुझसे पूछ के नहीं दिया, ये नाम समाज में था। कब से था कोई नहीं जानता। तो जब हम इसकी उत्पत्ति को नहीं जानते, तो अपने आप पर, अपने उस मैं पर इतना ज्यादा भरोसा कर लेना क्या हमारे लिए उचित है? समाज के साथ हमारा संबंध नाम के साथ ही तो जाना जाता है। माता पिता का संबंध जन्म से, किंतु नाम का संबंध एक समाज से जुड़ जाता है। आप किस समाज के हैं, क्या बोलते हैं, यह भी तो ज्ञात हो जाता है। और यही बात वो भाषा पर कहते हैं, जो भाषा मैं प्रयोग कर रहा हूं वो तो मेरी नहीं है, ये मुझे मेरी मां ने दी है, इस नाते यह मातृभाषा हो गई। किंतु मां अकेले नहीं है उस भाषा के सृजन और पोषण में, पूरा समाज लगा हुआ है। तो उनका जो उद्बोध है उस आखिरी रैली में भी वो दर्शन का उद्बोध है, जिसमें राष्ट्र की बात कर रहे हैं। दो और उद्धरण यहां से पढ़ता हुआ अपनी बात को समाप्त करूंगा। राष्ट्र के गौरव में ही हमारा गौरव है, परंतु आदमी जब इस सामूहिक भाव को भूलकर अलग अलग व्यक्तिगत धरातल पर सोचता है तो उससे नुकसान होता है। जब हम सामूहिक रूप से अपना अपना काम करके राष्ट्र की चिंता करेंगे तो सबकी व्यवस्था हो जाएगी। यह मूलभूत भाव है। हमको सामूहिक रूप से विचार करना चाहिए, समाज के रूप में विचार करना चाहिए, व्यक्ति के रूप में नहीं। यानी इंडिविजुअलिज्म की जो फिलॉसफी है, जिसको सिर्फ अधिकार के साथ जोड़ दिया गया, कंज्यूमरिज्म के साथ जोड़ दिया गया, मैटेरियलिज्म के साथ जोड़ दिया गया, उस व्यक्ति को उसके व्यक्तिवाद से दूर करने का प्रयास करने वाले दर्शन का नाम हम एकात्म मानव दर्शन के रूप में जान सकते हैं। वास्तव में समष्टिवाद यानी समाज की चिंता का वाद यह धर्म है, राष्ट्रवाद वह धर्म है, व्यक्ति के लिए और व्यक्ति का ही विचार करके किया गया कार्य अधर्म है। यहां मैं आपसे कह दूं कि जो धर्म है वो पूजा पद्धति नहीं है। जिस धर्म की चर्चा, जिस धर्म राज्य की चर्चा, जिस राज्य धर्म की चर्चा महात्मा भीष्म युधिष्ठिर से करते हैं, उसमें पूजा पद्धति कहीं नहीं है। उसमें समाज की चिंता करने का विचार है। धर्म यति धारयति, धर्म वह है जो पूरे समाज की संकल्पना करता है। तो पंडित दीनदयाल जी भी उसी वाक्य को दोहराते हैं कि यह समाज को सृजित करने की पद्धति है, जिसको हम धर्म के रूप में जानते हैं। और जब मैं कह रहा था कि एक थॉट प्रोसेस है, एक माइंडसेट है, एक आत्मानो दर्शन, उस बात को पंडित दीनदयाल जी अपने उस आखिरी संभाषण में कहते हैं। सभी थैंक यू, थैंक यू। ओके, उनका कहना है संपूर्ण समाज में एक समझ पैदा करनी है और वह समझ राष्ट्रीयता और राष्ट्रबोध की समझ है। प्रजातंत्र आता है, राष्ट्रवाद के बाद ही कोई तंत्र आता है। यदि राष्ट्रीयता कमजोर रही तो प्रजातंत्र चल नहीं सकता, यदि राष्ट्रीयता ठीक रही तो प्रजातंत्र भी चलेगा, समाजवाद भी चलेगा, पूंजीवाद भी चलेगा, हर एक वाद चल सकता है। और अंत में जिस लाइन को मैं कोट करना चाहता था, सभी गड़बड़ियां राष्ट्र भावना के अभाव के कारण होती हैं। राष्ट्र भावना रहेगी तो पूंजीवादी भी देश हित में निर्णय लेगा। दुर्भाग्य की बात है इस देश के कुछ लोग इस मूल बात पर विचार ही नहीं करते, सिर्फ अपना वैभव चाहते हैं। समझो कि यह राष्ट्र है, हमें इसका वैभव करना है। अगर हम यह सोच शामिल कर लेते हैं तो इसके लिए संस्कार, शिक्षण और आदत की जरूरत होगी। यह हमारे राष्ट्र भाव के सामने रहेगा तो हम सब मिलकर काम कर सकेंगे। तो पंडित जी का जो एक आत्मदर्शन है वो उसी मानसिक बोध की तरफ हमको लेके जाता है। मैं एक उदाहरण आपके समक्ष रखता हूं। मेरा बेटा एक प्राइवेट कंपनी में काम करता है। वो लोग कुछ उत्पाद बनाते हैं, जो उत्पाद हम लोग अपने जीवन में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, सभी करते हैं। उनको कुछ मिलिटेंट टाइप आउटफिट्स ने अप्रोच किया उस कंपनी को कि आप हमारे लिए 10,000 प्रोडक्ट बना दीजिए, और प्रोडक्ट बनाते हुए सिर्फ आपसे इतनी अपेक्षा है कि फला व्यक्ति की फोटो छाप दीजिए। वो हमारे लोग जो कनाडा जाएंगे उनको गिफ्ट करेंगे, उनको सुविधा के तौर पर देंगे। उस कंपनी ने ये कहा कि मेरा कितना भी नुकसान हो जाए, मुझे अपनी कंपनी बंद करनी पड़े, पंजाब के इलाकों से मेरे शोरूम्स बंद कर दिए जाएं, मैं ऐसा कोई प्रोडक्ट नहीं बनाऊंगा। टू मी दैट इज द थॉट प्रोसेस वेयर राष्ट्र एंड राष्ट्रीयता was important for that production house. Profit definitely is a concern to any businessman, but when he took such a decision, daring decision to defy all odds, then he was inspired by his concern with the Rashtra and Rashtriyata. And Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya in his thought wanted to have this theme to be prevalent in our practices and our thought process. Finally, ऋषिहुड विश्वविद्यालय को, माथुर साहब को, संपदानंद जी की टीम को और आप सभी साथियों को बहुत बहुत साधुवाद, धन्यवाद।